These are things you don't want to hear on turn 2 when you're already down game 1. Puka says that play might have won David the game. Yeah, that's what I'm. Pepe Steer, bro. Like, it's going down, baby. It's going down. In today's video, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to take a look back, way back, to the 2015 World Championships, where I am playing Night March in my winning in to day 2 of the competition. This is a really tense match. It's a Night March mirror between myself and David Hockman. For those of you that don't know, Night March is a deck that's very similar to Mad Party from Darkness Ablaze. Night March does 20 damage times the amount of Pokemon in your discard pile with the Night March attack. And you can use this attack for just a double colorless energy with Joltik. Joltik might only have 30 hit points, but you can have up to 11 Night Marchers in the discard pile, meaning you can do 220 damage for just one double colorless energy. Pumpkaboo can also use the Night March attack, but you have to have a Dimension Valley in play, which decreases its attack cost by 1 colorless energy. And then Lampent is, just another Pokemon with a Night March attack, and we never attack with it. We don't even play any Litwicks or Chandelier or anything like that. Lampent's only job is to make its way into the discard pile. Now, you might be thinking, with only 2 Pokemon that can Night March and only 4 copies of double colorless energy, how are we actually going to win any games? Well, there's no way to recover double colorless energy in this boundaries crossed through Roaring Skies format, so we have to rely on Mew EX. Mew EX can copy the attacks of any Pokemon in play, and with a Dimension Valley, you can make Joltik's Night March attack just cost 1 basic energy. So Mew EX is your fallback plan when you run out of double colorless energy. This deck only plays 7 energy, 3 basic energy, and 4 double colorless, so resources get very tight. This is a really exciting match, and I'm excited to revisit it, so check it out and let me know, what do you think of Night March in the comments below. The National Championships had just happened about a month previous. Night March was an unknown quantity heading into this World Championships. Me and my good friend JW Creewall, aka Flex Daddy Righteous, had arrived on a Night March list that we thought was really good. Up until this point, Night March was considered a meme, okay? You guys remember how bad Lost March was? Like, imagine if like one set came out and Lost March just became broken. Even Mad Party was more respected than Night March was. I'm trying to give you a point of comparison. Night March was about as respected as Lost March, okay? To give you an idea of how much respect Night March had. Night March had no respect. It was considered a trash gimmick deck.
So it's really going to come down to who plays it best and who takes advantage of the intricacies of these decks the best there.
Yeah, and there we do see Andrew going up against David right there with blue hair.
Yo.
So here we go. Round number 7 of the Pokemon TCG World
hair.
Championships. Day number 1.
Oh, I was
winner
so
moves
young, filled with youth.
Right, looks like we're starting up with, not too surprising, 2 Night March Pokemon. We got Joltik versus the old Pumpkaboo there.
Yep. So we will see a Battle Compressor. That is the main way.
So this is
get
round
Night
7,
March
so you had to
Pokemon
go
into the discard pile. Search your deck for.
You had to go 5 and
cards to
2.
discard.
Yes, and I played Virizion EX in my deck to make it so that my Mew EX could not get poisoned by Seismitoad. Yep, that was the because lasers were like all over the place.
Like this Night March deck, which counts your Pokemon in the discard pile that have Night March, but people use it to trigger off things like Archie's Ace in the Hole, or to set up supporters for Versus Seeker later. So the Battle Compressor has been an incredibly versatile card that we're seeing across a lot of decks.
You see that? Just chucking the Lampents. The Lampents were like
David does discard 3
horrible.
Lampent with that Battle Compressor. And at this point, he's probably got to wonder, what's the best route to go here? Do I attach an energy to my active Pumpkaboo?
Acrobike
just gets knocked out.
was played in this deck.
Going first,
just allowed you to churn through. Now, I didn't play Acrobike in my list. That was a big difference between my list and other people's lists.
Right.
I didn't like Acrobike. I felt like it was too risky.
Cost of the Night March attackers
because sometimes it required that you had to discard a special energy or something.
At the very least, regardless of what he does.
I only played Trainer's Mail and
You do have
Shaman's.
Dimension Valley that reduces the cost.
So that was
by
like something a little bit different about my list compared to other lists.
It still costs a double colorless energy. You got to assume when you put Dimension Valley out, it's going to stay there because both
Silver
players
Bangle,
only play
right? Is that
Dimension
Silver
Valley.
Bangle?
But,
yeah, Silver Bangle.
Yeah,
it's kind of like
Pumpkaboo
Choice Band.
in general is more expensive if you can't find Dimension Valley.
Right. We see another Battle Compressor, and there he's going through and taking out, again, the last Lampin in his deck, but also taking out that tool card, the Silver Bangle, which he feels isn't going to do him a lot of good in this game.
Now, David knows that we both play Dimension Valley, so he's using Battle Compressor to discard like other
really only need to do 60
other
damage.
stadiums. And you could play supporters turn 1 back in this format. You can't attack, so you're going to see David putting the Dimension Valley down
so if you attack it with
and
Pumpkaboo, you only need to
going
do
through.
60 damage.
Now,
so
if you actually kind of like...
It's just really weird. You have to switch gears.
All right, to put them on pause for a second. What's crazy about this format and this time, you can't attack on the first turn, right? But you can play supporters, so you're going to see David go through and completely set up. And since each of these decks only plays 7 energy, right? You only have 4 double colorless, and you only have 3 basic energy. So David actually plays lightning energy, and if you see that Joltik there on the left side of the screen, that Joltik has an attack Gnaw, which does 10 damage, right? But with a Muscle Band, it does 30 damage. So one of the things that David was going to be able to do is use Gnaw to take a knockout with a basic energy, which is not something that my deck can do. Now you see, unfortunately, I do have to play down my Shaman on the first turn of the game, but I do have Town Map. So I can flip my prizes over, take a look, and I'm already feeling like I am in a horrible position because I've got 2 EXs down, right? In the Night March Mirror. David's board is flawless. My board, 2 EXs, turn 1, in order to draw. But like that's the thing is that these decks only played so many supporter cards, so a lot of times you're going to have to use Shaman setup in order to find draw cards, right? Like obviously if you're drawing flawlessly, like David, I mean you could just like, sure, you just go Battle Compressor, like, you know, here's all my guys. David's got 4 single prize Pokemon to play. I've already got 2 prizes. Another way that you can conserve energy in the Night March Mirror is to Sky Return Joltik. Yes, that's the big play. You Sky Return other Joltiks. So Shaman EX has got an attack. Sky Return does 30 damage for just 2 colorless energy. So you slap a DCE on it, and you can Sky Return. It basically gives you another DCE throughout the game. So the Night March Mirror is like all about conserving resources, all about trying to prolong the amount of energy that you have, right, throughout the course of the game.
Pokemon, that might end up being the edge he needs, but of course there's a big advantage to having Mew out there as well.
Yeah, and we do see Battle Compressor discarding 2 Joltik and a Lysander, so maybe he can pull off that big Lysander. First turn on that Joltik with the double colorless energy would be a big advantage right off the bat.
If I found DCE, surely I would have, Sky Return. So another one. I think I'm going for it.
Another setup. He is really digging for ways to get that first turn knockout. I don't even think he's found an energy card yet, though.
Right, and Andrew going nonstop there. But again, interestingly
no
enough,
DCE, bro. No
right,
DCE.
only
My hands, nothing.
Pumpkaboo if he does pull that off. So it's not even
kind
going
of
to be,
cringe.
like we said, that first energy knockout might be the one that really matters. So he might even not even be putting an energy on his active Joltik if he does get it.
Yeah. So here we see second Battle Compressor, and again, pretty much doing what David did, discarding Silver Bangle, saying, you know what, I don't think I need to do additional damage to EXs, let's just throw that away.
What was the tech for the mirror
Dimension
match?
Valley, don't need that, that's the only stadium cards we play.
People were not teching for the mirror because Night March was an unknown quantity. Oh, I think the judge asked me to switch my prizes there, so it didn't look like that Pumpkaboo was on my bench. Yeah, but nobody respected Night March at this point, so it was not. I didn't get the turn 1 attack?
I'm like, really? Doing what David did, discarding Silver Bangle, saying, you know what, I don't think I need to do additional damage to EXs, let's just throw that away. And yeah, Dimension Valley, don't need that, that's the only stadium cards
so
we play.
ruined.
And we'll probably even see another Dimension Valley if there's one.
Right, since Dimension Valley is out, and that's probably the only
And 3 X's on my
trainer- or,
bench,
excuse
bro.
me, Stadium both decks are on. I can't imagine any of them have any of the other one. Every other Dimension Valley in the game is completely worthless now. You can't play it even if you want to.
Yeah, and Andrew says passed, and David looks at him like, really? You played all those cards and you passed? It's like, oh, all right, cool.
Right, so now
I'm
he's got to figure
so
out if he wants to risk
ruined,
getting
bro.
his Pokemon with energy up in the danger zone there. He's got a Mew EX of his own. He's got to decide if he wants to play that or not. A lot of decisions here about how he wants to go after this turn.
Yeah, it's almost like doing the first attack isn't necessarily a good thing in this matchup. If you're knocking out a Pokemon that has no energy on it, it's almost not worth it. I mean, sure, you are trying to race to 6 prizes in this matchup, but you can also run out of energy, so it's going to be this weird balance where
It's true.
I don't know if David even does attack if he can find a double colorless, but looks like he's going to play this computer search. Let's see what he finds.
Computer search,
Right,
pretty good
and,
card.
They do both have Lysander, so that they can try to snipe that Pokemon that does have energy on the bench if both of them are trying to hide from it. Both of them do have ways to get around that as well with Lysander.
Yeah, now something else that's kind of interesting in this matchup, Andrew did have to put down 2 Shaman EX to try to draw some cards, and that is a really big liability later on. Lysander,
Yeah.
knockout Shaman for 2 easy
That's for
prizes.
sure.
But since Joltik is a 30 HP Pokemon, you can actually knock it out with Sky Return. And not only does it pick the Shaman EX up off of your field, it gives you a double colorless energy back to your hand. So even though something else might get knocked out, you actually get to keep the double colorless energy. So using Shaman against Joltik is actually very strong in this matchup.
Right. Looks like David puts a double colorless on his Pumpkaboo. Of course, that Dimension Valley. Now it actually can attack for just the cost of 2 with the attack cost reduction from that Stadium card.
Yep, all your Psychic Pokemon's attacks cost 1 less when you have Dimension Valley in play. So Nightmare, instead of costing 3, now costs 2. And we see the first knockout taken. Down goes Joltik.
All
Yep,
right.
He actually did go for the attack there. Andrew gets his Floatstone Joltik up front there. And we'll see what he decides to do to counter. And again, if he doesn't even find any energy after all the cards he's played, it could be kind of a...
Y'all want to know something crazy about this Night March deck? Y'all want to know something absolutely baffling? At this point in time, in the history of the game, guess how many teammates we played in this Night March deck? Guess how many teammates? I did not play any teammates in this deck. Neither did most of us. Yeah, no teammate. We're like, bro, who cares? Like, 2 cards. I'll play research to get 7, bro. Yeah, like 2 cards. I'll play Colress and get 10. I don't. Who cares about 2 cards if I could Colress and get 10? Like that was kind of the thought back then, though. You know what I mean? That was the thought. Like, why would I? That was my thought, right? To this day, people do defend the choice for sure. The spot that I would have played a teammates in, I was playing Colress. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, teammates was legal, just none of us really played it.
Kind of a tough play there on his side.
Yeah, I think, David kind of recognized, all right, Andrew had nothing, and yes, he actually has so much of nothing
Wow.
that he concedes the game immediately.
Right. And so people might think that this is kind of a controversial
wow.
play. Oh, wow.
Had 2 double colorless energy prizes. Andrew could have had any sort of setup. I think he would have won that game.
Yeah. As we saw, Andrew he played the town map and he didn't have any energy.
You want to see the Alpha Dog play right there? This is my entire World Championship run on the line. My entire Worlds run on the line. Scoop turn 2, bro. I seen enough. Yep. The entire World Championships on the line in this winning into day 2 game. I scoop on turn 2. I don't even need to see my top deck, bro. And guess what? No spoilers. No spoilers. But I scooped on turn 2. And this is still going to time. To give you guys an idea of how difficult time management is in competitive play. This is why it matters, and this is why I talk about this stuff all the time, right? Because time management really matters. So scooping on turn 2, right? This is everything. The entire set hinges on that decision right there.
Prize, but couldn't get to any of them. But Andrew probably ended up making what a lot of people might not be thinking is the best play there, because you've got to be the games need to finish within that time limit. He felt that he had not a really strong chance, that he saw from his hand he wasn't going to be able to do anything that turn, and David was going to be able to move on directly to start taking prizes again, and he probably would have gotten an insurmountable lead at that point. Andrew realized that, decided to just concede the first game and make sure that he had enough time, give himself the time to win those later games.
Yeah, and that's something you have to do. Part of playing in tournaments is knowing how to work the clock. And like we've already seen it a few times today, players take too long, and then it ends up being, we're in a third game, and now it's a tie, or run out of time, or whatever it is. Andrew recognizes this is a win or go home situation. You can't afford a tie. So instead of playing out this game where he might have like a 5% chance of winning, just save the time, concede the game, and give yourself the best odds possible of winning these next 2 games.
Right. Working the clock, a lot of times people think whenever they talk about that, they're like, when you have a lead, you want to try to stretch the game out and prevent your opponent from being able to get onto those later games. And so just the flip of that, of course, is also advantageous as well. At that point, they would have just kept playing the game out as it was and very slowly taking all the prizes that they need and getting that game advantage. That would have been a great way to play the clock from that side. But other way around, Andrew wants to get into the next game.
Hey,
so
thank you,
he
Justice, for the Prime sub.
And we'll be going on to game
Egg
2,
Layton,
and he'll
is
have
this
way
live?
more time to take care of those games. And that way, from his point of view, he can hopefully win 2 of these next games.
And also, this can be a pretty unforgiving matchup where the player who takes the lead, I mean, if they take like a 2-prize lead, it's really tough to come back from. You really have to just hope for like a lucky end
right
and
now.
they miss energy or something like that. But for the most part, the player who's ahead a couple prizes, they're going to end up winning in this matchup.
Yeah, these decks are set up to take an attack every single turn. So if you get ahead against a deck that's almost an exact
All right,
identical
so now I'm
deck,
really
it's
curious.
really easy to keep that lead.
There was a huge debate back in the Dizay, right? Do you choose to go first or second playing Night March? Y'all choosing to go second? You realize if you miss the attack, you are losing the game, right? I just want you to know. You guys realize that if you miss... I went second right there. Game 1. I went second. Did I win? So... do you think I doubled down on going? I just went second, whiffed the turn 1 attack, and I knew I lost on turn 2. So with my entire world championship run on the line, am I choosing first or second? Again, I double down, huh? We'll see what I choose. I forget, honestly.
Up for game number 2, round 7, the final
I think I
round
do
of
choose
day
second.
number 1 of the 2015.
I think I choose second, but you're about to see how extremely sus it is.
Pokemon TCG World Championships. Got Andrew on the left, David on the right. He did not have a basic Pokemon in his opening hand, so he had to shuffle in and draw a new one.
Looks like he's good this time, and getting the prizes set up, and this game will be under.
What's the Pepe with like the wheel? Who's like, yeah, get that one ready.
Way. Andrew will get to draw an additional card because of that.
All right, so here we go. Game number 2. Hopefully we see a much better game than the first one. As you see down there, we have
Yes, I have chosen
38+
second.
minutes to finish the rest of this series, so should be plenty of time.
Here I am, Pepe Steer. Yes.
Yeah, so we're going to see, again, very similar setups going from both sides here. David is going first.
Yeah,
David's
that's
going
something
first.
I just noticed. Andrew actually opted to go second.
So why Andrew might be doing that, well, why Andrew is doing that, what we just saw was whoever attacked first really took a lead in this match, and since they're so evenly set up to work in the same way.
Yeah, David got the comp search, turn 1, both. I told you, it was a big debate, bro. It was a big debate. This was a huge debate. Everybody was like, do you go first, do you go second? Do you go first, do you go second? It was a big debate. And at the World Championships, there was still no answer. We were just winging it. We didn't know. We were like, Like I said, Night March hadn't been good for a long enough time for us to definitively know.
So Andrew's strategy here is hopefully he's going to be able to attack on his first turn and get a knockout, which he feels will then invert the situation from the last game and let him keep going first.
Yeah, I mean, last game he also won second. He just completely missed the attack on the first turn, and that's a big risk you take. I mean, if you go first, you get a chance to play through some supporters, see some extra cards, but for the most part, Andrew feels like his deck is consistent.
I always felt like going first was like a safer play, but like in the Night March Mirror, it was even more of a debate in the Night March Mirror because, like, you know, it really mattered.
Enough where he can attack on the first turn, so going second provides him that advantage.
Right. So it's an interesting play. Not everyone pays that much attention to realize that you do have the option to go first.
Yeah.
If you win the flip or if you lose the first game. So remember, you always get to pick who goes first. And in some rare situations, it's not always best to go first. That's why you have the option to pick.
Yep. So we do see a pretty strong start from David once again. Computer Search, discarding a couple cards, and he'll grab that Professor Sycamore, I believe. Draw a fresh hand of 7 cards. Yep, there it is. So draw 7 cards.
David
and,
is like
again,
setting up flawlessly again. Like, look at David's turn ones, both these games. Absolutely, like, squeaky clean turn ones. Comp Search in the hand. All of the Pokemon getting discarded with battle compressors. Turn 1, Sycamore, like, squeaky clean.
Consciously discarding a Shaman EX, saying, nope, I don't want to put any EXs down on my board.
Yeah, so
beautiful
again,
hand here.
David's taking a very
No
conservative
DCs
approach,
lost.
and Andrew's now kind of out of necessity can't. Since he's down 1 game, he doesn't have a chance to be able to play slowly and not take advantage of all his resources. And again, we see David put that energy on the bench. He doesn't want to lose any energy to that initial attack, and Andrew's got a setup that can very easily attack on turn 1 with that Joltik.
Oh yeah, it's a smart play. I mean, can't tell you how many times I've played against a Night March deck, starting with a Pokemon EX, thinking I was safe. How can they possibly do 180 damage on the first turn? And then, well, their turn ends with my Pokemon EX hitting the discard pile. So very easy to hit very, very large numbers when you use Night March on the first turn. This deck is just built to draw through your deck extremely quickly and do big damage starting on the first turn.
Right. Andrew's got 2 Lampet there tagged on his battle compressor that he just played. Maybe he doesn't find any more Lampets. Maybe he's got a couple of them prized. Or maybe he's looking at other cards, maybe Dimension Valleys to get out of there. Both of them are equally dead, really, at this point. So not sure what he's going for that last card. Oh, looks like he's going for Lysander to probably set up a future Versus Seeker, if not a current Versus Seeker.
Yeah, this is looking identical to his first game, where he pretty much did the same thing. Get Lysander in the discard pile so you can Versus Seeker and target down the Pokemon that has the energy on it. Last game, he did not have energy to attack. This game might be a different story.
Yep, he's really going to be burning through his hand here, playing a Trainer's Mail.
So there are no trainer cards there, so no mail today.
Yeah, complete whiff there.
Nothing, bro.
Unfortunate for him that did not work. Looks like he had a couple energy and a couple Pokemon, which seems in a deck that has 35 trainer cards is pretty tough to do.
Yeah, so things definitely not going well for Andrew right now. He's got to be wondering, what did I do to deserve this? You know, we got this far. This is the biggest game of the tournament, and man, my deck is just completely running out of gas.
Yeah, so he's going for the Computer Search, and actually Computer Searches out that double colorless energy.
Usually, with reordering other players' discards, sometimes your opponent might ask. David asked me if he could, and I said sure. Yeah, because I don't order my discard pile, but sometimes you will get somebody who asks if they can reorder your discard pile. Definitely ask before you do it. Don't just go sorting things around in your opponent's discard pile, because it's their, you know what I mean, it's their deck. Like, they can keep it whatever order they want. So, if your opponent asks, sure. You know, me and David are being good sports.
He's got.
Yeah, you're not supposed to order it, but David clearly does. You know, so like,
Got the Versus Seeker in his hand. We can be pretty sure he's gonna.
leave them both in plate order for Judge Unrolling. Yeah, I think that's preferred for sure. That's why I don't reorder mine. But like if David wanted, I was like, whatever, dude, I don't care. Like we're in the, you know what I mean? Like I got other things to worry about. Thank you, Such Josh, for the Prime sub.
Go for the Pumpkaboo with Lysander.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I'm down game 1. I'm whiffing left and right here. If David wants to reorder my discard pile, man, that's fine. I just am trying to attack this turn. Okay, that's really what it. Do what you want with my discard pile, bro. I just need to find a double colorless energy.
I think so, and I think that's kind of what he has to do here. Again, really getting the first knockout on the Pokemon that has energy on it is probably the most important thing in this kind of a matchup, since both players are running pretty low on energy cards. He's not able to find Lysander, though, just plays that Professor Juniper.
So yeah, so that means that he will not get the really big advantage he was looking for of knocking out that Pokemon with energy, and it also means his Joltik will be vulnerable to that exact same situation on the return turn.
Yep, now I'm wondering how many Night March Pokemon he actually has in the discard pile. I think he only discarded 2 Lampent and then a Lysander, so if he only has 2 in there, he's only doing 40, which means he actually isn't knocking out this Pumpkaboo.
Now, off that Trainer's Mail, you know, the reason I went Battle Compressor, 2 Lampent, and the Lysander was because I had the Muscle Band in my hand, right? So off the Trainer's Mail, if I hit a Versus Seeker, I would have been able to attach Muscle Band to the active Joltik, Versus Seeker for the Lysander, bring up the Pumpkaboo with energy. So that's why I did that, right? That's why I hit 2 Lampent and the Lysander in the opening hand before the Trainer's Mail. Trainer's Mail, look at the top 4 cards, pick an item card or pick a trainer card I find there, put it into my hand. If I had found the Verse Seeker, I would have had a knockout on the Pumpkaboo with the energy, which is what I felt like would have really helped me in this game to.
That's an interesting point. That's something
to
that
remove
you usually
that
would take as a given for Night March, that of course they've got enough in there to knock out. So yeah, he might not even be able to do the knockout, and in fact he might not even want to do the knockout at this point if David is stuck with only 1 double colorless. Of course he doesn't know how many David's got at this point.
Right.
And David of course is going to have all his card draw.
You guys want to see David? All right, here we go.
Huh. Yeah, this is a weird spot. I mean, he even attached Muscle Band to the bench Joltik, but no, looks like. Well, let's see how many Night March Pokemon are in there.
I did discard 1.
2.
3.
Yep.
No, there's
that
3.
Is not enough for a knockout. Just
there's 3
damage. That's unfortunate.
There's 3.
Wait.
There's 3.
Maybe
there must be 3 in there that we
there
just didn't
3.
see one.
Maybe I can't count today. Okay.
If you look back, I flash a Lampent there right in the middle.
Maybe
there must be 3 in there that we just didn't be able to do the knockout, and in fact he might not even want to do the knockout at this point if David
what
is stuck
happened
with
to young
only 1
Andrew
double colorless. Of course he doesn't know how many
what
David's
did happen
got
to
at
young
point.
Andrew.
And David of course is going to have all his card draw options as well.
Huh. Yeah, this is a weird spot. I mean, he even attached Muscle Band to the bench Joltik, but no, looks like. Well, let's see how many Night March Pokemon are in there. We do have.
Do you see the third one? Yeah, I got 3. Yep.
2. Yep.
It was
that
3.
is not enough for a knockout. Just 40
it was 3.
damage. That's unfortunate.
Man, bro, if I had messed that up to the point where I was only doing 40 damage on the first turn of the game, I would have picked up my cards and walked home.
Wait.
Oh.
Maybe
there must be 3 in there that we just didn't see one.
Maybe I can't count today. Okay, so knockout for Joltik.
Right.
All right, so now Pumpkaboo coming out already has the sufficient energy to use its Night March attack. David, faced with the tough decision of which Battle Compressor to pick off of his 2 cards from Acro Bike, decides to take the first one. So, all right, let's see what he's going to do next. Another Acro Bike.
There you see, I show 1, 2, 3.
3
Boom.
Lampent in the discard pile for Andrew, so he did get exactly enough. 60 there
Right.
weren't all together, so we missed that third one. Another Acro Bike, more difficult decision. This time for David, looks like Ultra Ball and N are his 2 choices.
Right. Looks like he's going to hang on to that N supporter, which is a big volume of card draw. His hand is not completely terrible. He's got at least a Joltik in there, and it's also got a Professor.
It's right about here when you start to ask yourself, where have I gone wrong in my life? Okay.
Sycamore in his hand, but looks like he's going to Battle Compress first.
Yeah, he's going to search out those Lampent. Those are always the first things to hit the discard pile, since you really can't ever play them. Don't run any Litwick, nor would you really want to. They're just there because they have the Night March attack.
Look at how down bad I look right now. Like I said, these decks only play 4 DCE. There's no way to get the double colorless energy back. You have 7 energy. 3 of them are basic energy. Anytime you can, if you can convert a basic energy into a knockout, you're so far ahead.
So you put him in the discard pile, and now you do more damage.
Right, so he gets the rest of his Land Pit, throws another Dimension Valley in there, and then we'll hit the N.
Yeah, N is going to be a pivotal card in this matchup just because these players are going to be pretty much every turn, attach energy, attack, and get a knockout. So your things will hardly ever survive, which means you'll need energy every turn to keep attacking. If you can disrupt your opponent, make them miss an energy just one turn, that can be the difference between winning and losing.
Right, as this game goes on, these players will consistently draw fewer and fewer.
Looking back, would I rather not attach the muscle band so I could potentially float return? Yes. Looking back, I would have not attached that muscle band. It just seemed like a fine idea at the time.
Cards with their ends, so you can use N to really put your opponent on the back foot if you're lucky.
Yeah, like in this situation, I mean, Andrew's his Joltik will be knocked out. He'll be left with just a Joltik with 30 HP. He'll need to get another basic and then a double colorless energy. I mean, if he misses either of those, he'll be in a pretty bad spot. So putting him down to 5 cards could make him miss the cards he needs, and I mean, that could end the game right there. So it looks like David looking through the 6 cards he got, and looks like, oh, he's actually going to retreat and use that lightning energy, gnaw for the knockout. 30 damage using that muscle band.
I am upset at this point. This is the point in the game where the writing is starting to appear on the wall. And even though I am like winning the prize trade, this is not good. Okay. This is like really bad. David just ultimately flexed on me, okay, with that gnaw play. Like, he's up game 1, has no liabilities on the bench, and just slapped me with the gnaw.
I didn't think I would ever see that.
Yeah, so that's a really interesting way to use that there.
That's
why do you
huge?
Right, and that way it makes sure that he's got his double colorless still like on tap on that back Pumpkaboo.
Yeah, like that might not seem like much, but that actually might have won him the game.
These are things you don't want to hear on turn 2 when you're already down game 1. Puka says that play might have won David the game. Yeah, bro. Yeah, that's what I'm. Pepe Steer, bro. Like, it's going down, baby. It's going down. Why don't I gnaw my opponent back? Because I play grass energy. I don't play lightning. I play grass in my deck because I was not anticipating ever using gnaw. I have Virizion EX in my deck to prevent myself from getting lasered. My muse.
Being able to use a lightning energy instead of a double colorless energy to get a knockout in this matchup is the difference. I mean, these players only run 7 energy. Look, Andrew has to commit a second double colorless energy just to knock out his opponent's Joltik. Whereas David, he now has that Pumpkaboo sitting on the bench.
No, you see those big headphones? Yeah, those big headphones that we're wearing are sound canceling headphones that just make like this very annoying. So the entire time we're playing that, I know, headphone listeners, now you're getting a real look as to what we are experiencing. That's it. The entire time. Right into our ears.
Ready to go for a Night March, and wow, I never thought the basic lightning energy would do anything, but who knew?
Right, those cards that we looked at thinking really would have almost completely no impact in what they were doing turns out to have like almost the biggest impact there.
Yeah.
And I almost wonder if that's something that David had planned ahead for, just in case he ends up in the mirror match, that he can use those gnaws along with a muscle band to get knockouts in the mirror match.
I mean, it's paying off here. Andrew's probably pretty.
Can we hear each other and the judges? Barely.
Confused at this point. I'm not sure how much of the mirror match you play when you test a Night March deck. You're usually seeing what other decks you're good against. You never really say, oh, but what if I face another Night March deck? You probably assume it's a pretty brainless matchup where you just trade one-hit knockouts back and forth, but turns out in these kinds of matchups there are a lot of intricacies that can separate players.
Yeah, and maybe that's the big difference here. Maybe David, seeing a lot of Night March, decided to test against it, realized that the occasional gnaw would help him in some pretty tight situations there, actually went with those lightning energy. And again, none of the other energy are going to be doing anything except maybe Psychic, but again, that's pretty out there as well on those.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe he didn't plan it and it just happened to work out. I mean,
right.
That's a sign of a good player as well. You see a situation. I mean, most players probably wouldn't have even thought to use Gnaw ever, but David sees a situation, says, you know what, 10, 30 with a muscle band saves me a double colorless. Why not just use that?
So Andrew uses Versus Seeker for a Professor Juniper there. Gets his 7 new cards. See a Battle Compressor. We'll see that come out right away, so he can compress some stuff out.
Looking mighty sus
drawing
over
those
here.
Cards in the future, and also can help his Night March, but he just goes for.
Get these things out of here, bro. Get you chuck these Dimension Valleys out of my deck as fast as possible.
The rest of those Dimension Valleys at this point, because you can't play them at all, because you only got one stadium in the entire game.
That's right. And at this point, I mean, Andrew is definitely behind in this game. I mean, he'll take the prize lead for a turn, but David already has that Pumpkaboo ready to go.
You ain't got to say it like that, Puka.
Andrew really has enough energy to really keep on this pressure the whole game, whereas David
is bro,
only
Puka
used
just
that
telling me
one
how it
double color
is.
energy. He'll definitely have enough steam to win the rest of the game. So at some point, I think Andrew has to switch and use Mew EX as an attacker, and I mean, that's a liability, but that might be his only hope.
Right, because it can attack for cheaper with the Dimension Valley, and also has a bit more resiliency, but at this point there's not quite enough in there for Joltik to knock it out, but with weakness there's certainly enough for Pumpkaboo or an...
Brandon, I stand exactly where I am right here. I stand by my list 100%. Ask me how many Seismitoads I beat. Every one I played against. I beat every Seismitoad deck I played against. The Night March Mirrors, I was plussed on the Night March Mirror, but I think that you'll find that the Night March Mirror was more about just whiffing. Like, do you whiff? Yeah, I mean, it's just like, what it gets us? Nah, too greedy. You just want your deck to be as consistent as possible. I stand by the same old garbage, chat. It's the same old stuff. Build your deck as consistent as possible. That's it. For me, Virizion made sense because it was a 1-card tech that increased your Toad matchup like probably 25-30%.
UEX.
Right, so it looks like Andrew's just trying to figure out what to do at this point. I mean, every little decision counts at this point. Gets another Joltik down on the board. Probably doesn't hurt to get that down there. And there we do see another Night March. Instead of a Gnaw, he's doing a Night March for a lot more damage.
Right. So that goes in the discard pile. Does get David's Night March count in the discard pile up to 6. And he's going to be probably playing a couple Trainer's Mail here. It looks like he had 2 or 3 in his hand.
Yep. So he's going to look at these top 4 cards. Probably not seeing a lot of stuff he wants. He could grab Versus Seeker. Actually opts to grab nothing.
Yep.
It's pretty interesting. I wonder why he did that. Maybe he's got a Shaman EX in his hand and he just wants to draw some cards off of it.
Right. He's maybe looking for... Yeah, he does have a Shaman EX in his hand there that we see. Or he may have had just like one very specific trainer card that he wanted and just would rather go for the Shaman cards apart from that. Yeah, Battle Compressor, probably what he's looking for because he can play that. He can compress some extra stuff out. And then when he plays his Shaman, he has a deck that is more full of the cards that he's hoping to get.
Right. So yeah, he's going to search out 3 cards he probably doesn't want anymore. Looks like Silver Bangle was a choice, Dimension Valley, and maybe a Mew EX since he probably doesn't plan on using more than one of those. So yeah, going to discard those 3 cards. He might not even use Mew at all. So
another really interesting thing about this mirror match is that, like, if your opponent puts down a Shaman, right, and you gust Shaman, then that means that you have given your opponent +1 energy too. You know what I mean? So it's this really weird dance, right? Because on one hand, obviously, you're skipping ahead of prize. On another hand, you're giving them access to what you didn't remove their energy from play. So, right. Which means that you're helping prevent them from getting end. Yes, exactly, Pandage, yes. So that's like there's a lot going on here.
Might as well get rid of one.
Right, so now that he's got those cards out, he can play his Shaman. He might have another card or 2 that he wants to play before. He might have an Ultra Ball in his hand. Right, so he's going to put that Muscle Band down and then play the Shaman. So he gets to draw more cards by getting those Trainer Mails out of his hand. And
he draws that double color energy. That's exactly what he was looking for.
Yeah.
So this is huge. Like we were saying earlier, you can Skyrim.
I know you probably thought that this match couldn't get any sketchier for me. You probably thought I was already down horrendous. How could this get worse? Now take a look. Thank you, Pokemon Gaming, for the 100 bits. First Gnaw, then Sky
Return for a knockout against Joltik. And what that does is gets you a knockout, but it doesn't put one of your energy at risk. You get to return that double colorless to your hand, preserving that precious resource, and then eventually that might end up winning you the game.
Right, and David was able to put his double colorless out on the board. Then he played N. Andrew has the temporary prize lead, so he gets N for fewer cards than David gets, and also may put him off the cards that he wanted to be having in his hand for his next turn.
Yeah, so really smart play from David so far. It really feels like he understands this mirror match really well. Maybe it's something he's had to play against so far today, or maybe it's something he's prepared for, but whatever the case is, he's playing extremely well.
He's got no Joltics down. I don't even have the opportunity to Sky Return.
So he's going to draw 5 off of this N. His opponent will draw 4. Gets another Battle Compressor, further thinning out cards in his deck, just taking away things he won't need anymore.
Right, he's not going to Gnaw ever again, even though he did the world's most epic Gnaw there a couple turns ago. He is going to get rid of that ability to Gnaw, and then not sure what that third card was. Might be another Dimension Valley.
Yeah, he might have only taken 2 cards, and you only have to take up to 3, so you can take 1, 2, or 3 if you want. And there's the Sky Return for the knockout. Gets to return that double colorless and the Shaman to his hand, and then promotes a Pumpkaboo that has no energy.
Right, so that's kind of a small situation there. He doesn't have any of the float stones out on his side, so that Pumpkaboo's a little bit stranded. But everything that he's got set up right now, he might just be also willing to sacrifice that Pumpkaboo for a knockout.
Yeah, and at this point, you got to think. I mean, Andrew has already used, 2 double colorless energy. He's only got 2 left.
I've used 2 double. So, like, for those of you at home doing the math, right? I have used 2 double colorless already. That means I have at maximum 2 left. David has not benched any 2-prize Pokemon at all. And that means, how do I win? I'm gonna need to attack with Mew like twice. Oh God! Like, how do I possibly win this game? It's
can't afford to attach twice to a Joltik to get a knockout, so he either needs to keep finding those double colorless energy or start attacking with Mew EX, which only takes 1 energy since it can copy Joltik's Night March for just 1 thanks to Dimension Valley. Now, of course, the risk with that is you throw a Pokemon EX into the mix, which gives up 2 prize cards, which then pretty much gives David the lead in the game in terms of prize count. So this is a really tough spot for Andrew to battle back from. Dave has just been more efficient with his resources, and it's really showing so far.
Yeah, Andrew again got a little unlucky, opting to go second in kind of that gambit there, but wasn't able to attack on his first turn, and everything since then just has...
I did attack on my first turn. Chill, Exobite, chill, bro.
That worked out for him.
And we do see Town Map, getting that off the trainer's mail, so he'll be able to play that, flip over his prize cards, and we'll see if there's anything big in there that he's trying to look for. Looks like an N, and yeah, that's actually really big. He only plays one copy of N in his deck, and it's in his prize card, so he'll need that at some point to disrupt David's hand and stop him from getting an energy card or something like that. So yeah, I think if he can get a knockout this turn, he is going to take that N for sure.
Yeah, and not quite as important, but he does have one battle compressor in there, which means that he's not getting the cards he wants in his discard pile quite as quickly. Also, one of his Shaman in there, and one of his
Here I am.
Professor Juniper in there. That's 3 really big draw cards that are stuck in his prizes right now as well.
Yeah, now he
Optimal
does
location.
play that Shaman EX setup, draws about 5 cards off of that, and he does find double colorless energy, also finds a grass energy. Trainer's Mail gives him that Versus Seeker, but he has an Ultra Ball and a grass energy. If he wants to find Mew EX and use it this turn, he could do that. Otherwise, he'll probably just put a double colorless onto either Joltik or Pumpkaboo and use Night March for a knockout.
Right, but again, like we were saying, that Strand's another one of his double colorless energy, and he's running very low on those already, but puts it on the Joltik for this turn.
Yeah, this is a questionable move. I mean, he doesn't want to lose that Float Stone on Pumpkaboo, but he finds the Lysander and brings out David's Pumpkaboo that has a double colorless energy, so he is taking a big knockout, getting rid of one of David's energy.
Right, David put his double colorless on the board and then played N, hoping to isolate Andrew from getting the resources he needed, but kind of a reversal of fortune there.
Yeah. Now, the unfortunate part for Andrew is he used Joltik to attack, which means
I snatched up that N so fast. Yeah. I just the N that was in the prize cards. Yeah, we'd like to thank Town Map for that.
Means he is open to another Shaman EX Sky Return. However, he did get rid of the Float Stone on David's Pumpkaboo, so there's no free retreater he can promote.
Yeah, these decks only play one Float Stone, to give you an idea how greedy they are. So I know that by knocking out the Float Stone, I'm probably not getting Sky Returned again.
So we probably won't see that same situation where we see the Sky Return for a knockout. David might have to commit a double colorless to a Pokemon at this point.
Right, and David only plays the one Float Stone and no real way to get that back, so that's the last that we'll be seeing that.
Yeah, he does have Escape Rope, but I don't think that's something he would want to play because that would push Joltik out of the active spot.
Right. So yeah, he's just going to put a double colorless on there, so Dimension Valley will allow him to play what he wants.
Oh,
but
yeah.
He's going to Lysander up a Shaman EX.
All right, so here we go.
Does he have enough in there right now? He's got, looks like 7 in the discard pile right now.
Yeah,
Hang on tight,
this
chat.
Is a potentially risky move at this point. He saw Andrew take the N out of his prizes, and then he goes down to 2 prizes.
Hang on tight.
The only energy in play is on that Pumpkaboo. He's being very aggressive going after that Shaman EX. This could open up Andrew for a big N play, but on the other hand, if David manages to draw double colorless energy every turn, he will win because he's ahead on prizes.
Right. So, yeah, this is David kind of slammed, was playing very conservative this whole time, and then, like, seeing that as close as he is to the end here, kind of slammed it into high.
Yo, and I get to slap a grass on Pumpkaboo? That's insane, bro. Yeah, +1 energy drop. Let's go.
High gear there.
Yeah, and he's just, at this point, feels like he is so far ahead, and he has thinned out so many cards from his deck that he has super high odds, even if he gets hit by an N, to draw double colorless energy. I mean, we've seen him play Battle Compressor over and over and over, discard cards he wouldn't want to draw anymore, so his deck might just be full of supporter cards, double colorless energy, and ways for him to win the game and nothing else.
Right, and we can see his kind of general thought of the situation might have been, he might have read the situation perfectly.
Yeah, all Night March decks pretty much play 4 DCE, 3 energy. So yeah, it's 3 grass.
Perfectly there, because Andrew played a grass energy on that benched Pumpkaboo before he played in. So he really did not have a situation that's going to allow him to attack back this turn unless he can get his Joltik up, unless he wants to bring that back, get the Joltik up front. But yeah, that's going to be, that grass energy did not really do what he wanted to.
All right, so we do see a Night March. The Grass Energy does set up for Night March next turn if he gets a second Grass Energy.
Right.
That way it puts less pressure on him. But at this point, oh man, David.
Wow.
Well, he does draw Professor Sycamore, so he can discard his hand and draw 7, but he'll need a double colorless energy and another basic. Otherwise, he could get benched out.
Yeah. Oh, he got a couple there. Yeah. So he could put down the Mew, but then that's a little dangerous because Andrew's only got 2 prizes left to take at this point.
Yeah, if he puts down an EX, it just gets Lysandered out and he loses the game. He also didn't draw a double colorless energy. So he may have to extend a little bit, put down Mew and Shaman, and just hope to draw double colorless and put the pressure on.
Right. His only Pokemon in his hand right now are both EX cards. It's going to go grab a Joltik so he doesn't have to put an EX.
Look at his deck, bro. How many DCEs are in there? He's got let's take a look.
Right.
You may have to extend a little bit, put down Mew and Shaman, and just hope to draw double colorless and put the pressure on.
Right. His only Pokemon in his hand right now are both EX cards.
1 DCE. There's 2 DCE in there. So it wasn't like a guarantee that he's going to get the DCE off the end of 2. You know what I'm saying? 2. So it's it was always going to be tight. It was always going to be tight.
It's going to go grab a Joltik so he doesn't have to put an EX on the bench, maybe, but still without putting out, he might have to play that Shaman to try to set up to try to find that double colorless that's left in his deck there.
Oh, absolutely. He can't let Andrew go unchecked this turn. He has to take a knockout and force him to have energy to get a knockout. I mean, if you just pass the turn and let yourself get knocked out, and Andrew also just has an energy to attach to Pumpkaboo, you automatically lose.
Right. And since he had to play the Shaman, he can go ahead and play the Mew because both of those EXs are just as vulnerable.
Yeah.
So that gets him another card off of the setup.
Right, and we've seen Ultra Ball.
All right, so there is now a window. It's possible. I just used Town Map to grab Shaman EX off the prizes. So there's a route. It can be done. It wasn't pretty, but we're here.
Further thinning out David's deck a little bit. He's only got 2 cards left. Got pretty unfortunate off that Sycamore to have to dig further with that Shaman, but hey, sometimes it happens. But it'll be up to Andrew at this point. Does he have Lysander and energy to win the game?
Right, either double colorless or another grass will do it. Looks like he's got a Shaman to dig, so he's going to probably play out his entire hand. Oh, there's the Versus Seeker.
Here we go. Versus Seeker grabs Lysander. Does he have the energy to finish the game as well?
He's going to have to dig for it. I don't think he's got it in his hand.
Well, fortunately, he can draw quite a few cards. He can play down a bunch of basics, and this might be it. Setup. Does he draw the energy to win?
There it is. First card in the window.
Whew. Wow. And that should do it. There we go. Night March for a lot of damage because Mew is psychic.
Right.
But that'll close it out. Andrew Mahone wins game number 2, and we are going to a final decisive game number 3. Wow. Really back and forth. You never know what to really expect between this kind of a matchup.
Right. Even after the gnaw from left field, David wasn't able to completely finish that one off. What do you think?
Yes, all my friends are watching me on the big screen at the World Championships. So you could hear some yelling there in the back. That's because all my homies are watching on the big screen.
What was the turning point there?
I think it was that turn where I don't even know. I think maybe Andrew just being able to go first and get a knockout was so strong. He never really missed a beat. And if you can pull that off, if you can go second, attack, and never miss an attack, I mean, yeah, you're going to win.
Right.
Got a knockout every single turn. But the biggest turning point was that final turn for David. He was good every step of the way, but he had to bench an EX at the last second, and that just opened him up to lose.
Yeah, and also David made that other play where he put a double colorless on his bench that he didn't attack with and then played the end to try to lock Andrew out. And it kind of left him with a double colorless energy that he had on his board that he never got to attack with.
Yeah, I mean, a little unfortunate that Andrew was able to pull everything off on that turn, but hey, we get to see a third game, so pretty exciting for us.
Right, and because of Andrew conceding that first game early, he's actually got...
We do get to see who will choose to go second. Now, I just chose to go second, and I won. David went first game 1, and he won. Like I said, it's like a very, it's very up in the air decision. Do you choose to go first? Do you choose to go second? So we'll see what David chooses here and how that affects the game.
enough time to finish this game and take a chance to win it, because like you said, tying doesn't do anything here.
Yeah. So incredible play from both players. I mean, what would you expect at the World Championships? Both of these guys, world-class players. Unfortunately, only one can move on, and hopefully we do see a clear winner in this match, so we do get to see at least one move on. But yeah, going into game number 3, who do you think has the advantage?
Well, it's interesting. To me, it feels like David has played this matchup more, either in testing or just in his rounds that he's played today so far. So to me, it feels like David has kind of a slightly stronger edge just in doing this. But again, it's a mirror match, right? It's really going to be interesting. And now we've got to see what David's going to decide who goes first or second,
That's
right?
true, yeah.
We saw Andrew try to make that gambit there, so we'll see. We'll get to the players right now. They're drawing their initial hands, although it looks like David's got a mulligan.
It's the second time that's happened.
Right. I think they have near identical. Yes, they have identical Pokemon counts, so that should happen pretty equally for both of them, and not very often because they both play 14 basics.
Yeah. So, all right, looks like we are getting game number 3 set up. Let's hear some noise for these two players, Andrew and David. Round number 7 at the Pokemon TCG World Championships.
Right, and so David's drawing out his second chance at initial hand here. I don't think we've seen for sure who's going first yet.
Yeah, I mean, the players have decided, I'm sure. We just haven't had that communication quite yet. But yeah, see, these players are tied 1 game apiece.
There's a whole bunch of things that can happen here. You can open Shaman. You can open Mew. These decks play 3 Shaman, dude. Yeah. Like 3 Shaman EX. You could just open Shaman. Happens all the time.
13 minutes left in the round. Will we see a winner? If we do, that person will move on to day number 2 at the World Championships. This is a very, very high-pressure situation.
A handshake to kick it off, and Andrew's going to be going first.
This is so bizarre to see. It's like inverse of what we normally see. Usually when you lose a game, you immediately opt to go first. But in this matchup, they're saying, well, actually, I want to attack first. So
right.
That's where that rule change that was made not too long ago, where the player going first, Canada.
Do I still have the Obey hat, and how much do I want for it? I do still have it. Yeah. It's not. I'm not selling my Obey. It doesn't really fit me anymore.
Attack is really coming into play here.
Yeah, whoever pushed for that really had a good grasp on the game there, I feel. But it is interesting to see both players adopt that strategy, and it paid off for Andrew in game 1. And we'll see if it pays off for David here, because he's going to be able to, again, get that first attack off.
Yeah, we've seen minor things really pay off for both players, both opting to play 1 Float Stone, which, you know, you see 1 trainer card like that, you wouldn't think it would make such a big deal. But getting that free retreat has given these players lots of flex.
You guys remember how I scooped game 1 on turn 2? Do you remember how I scooped game 1 on turn 2? Y'all remember how I did that? Right? You guys remember how I scooped game 1 on the second turn of the game? All right. I scooped game 1 on the second turn of the game, won game 2, and now look at the timer.
Ability on which Pokemon they can promote, and then just kind of slam something down with an energy and play it in the same turn and attack with it. So just having free retreat on something has really made a difference.
Right, and we did see that when David's Pokemon with Floatstone got knocked out last game, that was kind of suddenly he was in a bad position compared to Andrew.
Right, and we see a pretty rough Juniper right on the first turn from Andrew, discarding quite a few useful cards, including Versus Seeker. He definitely wants to find more basics here. We don't want to see a repeat of the last round where a player just loses with only 1 basic.
Right. But he hasn't put out another one yet. He is playing another Battle Compressor. Going to get some... probably get his Lampet stumped out there. Probably has some kind of other minor card draw in his hand that he wants to make sure he compresses out the stuff he doesn't want first. Oh, it looks like he's got some Ultra Balls at the very least.
Yeah. So he'll probably discard like Silver Bangle, gets rid of a Joltik, realizing that the Gnaw option is there, so he doesn't want to walk into that again.
Gets a Lysander in there for the Versus Seeker.
Yep, and We'll see what the third card is. I would assume, well, another battle compressor. Well, you get to a point where there's not many cards you want to discard, so you don't want to draw a battle compressor anymore.
Interesting that he did that already. I wonder if all his Lampet were accounted for somehow.
Yeah, it's a strange situation there. But yeah, he does need to find another basic Pokemon here. You definitely don't want to be in a spot where you only have one basic against a Night March deck. You probably won't survive that turn most of the time. It does have Ultra Ball, so he'll go ahead and search out a Pokemon, probably another Pumpkaboo.
And yeah, we see the other Pumpkaboo hit the field. Interestingly enough, so far we haven't seen the Dimension Valley yet.
Yeah.
So Pumpkaboo still needs 3 to attack right now. So even if David has one, he might end up not playing it early on.
Yeah, it's a strategy we see pretty often, even when players use the same stadium card. You know, they do help both players, so you just hold it in your hand instead of playing it. That way you don't give your opponent the benefit, and you force your opponent to have it.
Right. Also, Andrew setting himself up for kind of his own side of a conservative play, retreated his Pokemon with Floatstone and is leaving his other Pumpkaboo kind of out in the wind there, making sure he's protecting that one energy he's got on the primary Pumpkaboo though.
Yeah, and looking at David's hand, it doesn't look spectacular. We do see he does have a Battle Compressor and Versus Seeker, so at the very least he will have a supporter for the turn. But I think he's trying to figure out, if I Battle Compressor, I can only discard 2 Pokemon and then a supporter, which I'll have to take. So you might not be able to Night March for a knockout if you don't. It depends on which supporter you go for, but if you can't get the third Night March Pokemon in there,
right,
could be in some trouble.
I'm going to guess that he's going to have to take an N as well as his supporter. Since he has 2 double colorless in his hand, he probably can't afford to discard one.
Yeah, so that's a very interesting situation to be in right away. Looks like he's eyeing up those 2 Lampent. Those are pretty obvious choices. But what's going to be that third card? Sycamore will guarantee he gets another Night March Pokemon in the discard, but it also guarantees that he's down a double colorless energy.
Yeah, it looks like he's hovering on that N, and yeah, it does go with the N because he can't afford to get rid of another double.
Yeah, like David can't research this or can't Juniper this hand, right? It's got 2 double colorless in it. So David's got to N.
Double colorless, puts one on his Night March, gets that Bangle. The Bangle isn't going to do anything in this game, but by putting the Bangle on the Pumpkaboo, he makes sure that he doesn't draw it again later. So whenever he would have drawn that Bangle, he instead draws another card that hopefully is more useful for him.
So will David find a way to get another Night March Pokemon in the discard pile, or perhaps a Muscle Band? Both of those will get him a knockout. And, with time running down, we're hovering around 8 minutes at this point. You got to think the correct strategy is just go for knockouts.
Right. You got to just pedal to the metal at this point. Bunch more energy in his hand that isn't, super useful, but he does have his computer search.
That is useful.
Right.
So he gets to discard 2 cards, search for any card, probably a Battle Compressor, discard more Lampent, stuff like that. And, just progress his board a little further. He'll take the first knockout.
Yeah, so he gets his Battle Compressor. Now he gets to put enough Night March Pokemon in that discard pile. Looks like he's hovering on a Mew as well. Might consider getting that out just because he doesn't want to be playing it. And Joltik is interestingly enough.
Yep, so it looks like he's eyeing up those 3 cards. Maybe a Dimension Valley, but again, he might need to put one out there. Neither player has gotten a Dimension Valley out there yet, so it might be kind of a who blinks first kind of thing and puts out their Dimension Valley.
Right, so we see 2 Night March Pokemon and the Mew going into the discard pile. Brings the Night March count up to 4, enough to take out Pumpkaboo.
Yeah, and of course he already has the energy to use it, so this is a really strong first turn for David, but he has put the first double colorless energy at risk.
You will see at this point, I am no longer cutting my opponent's deck. I am very aware that time is coming down. I'm just we're trying to get things going, right? I don't even care about cutting. I don't care about doing none of that. This is it. You need to know when the clock is at this point and how to perform quickly, right? Quickly.
Risk, right, by attacking with Joltik. He'll be behind in that department, but ahead in the prize department.
Hey, thank you, Steve, for the sub in the 5 months.
Right. So he takes that first prize, draws another N. That's probably pretty useful for him. He does have another double colorless in his hand, so he should be ready to go on his next turn as well if he needs to.
I think Andrew here wants to go for the Sky Return play with Shaman, get the knockout. He has to find another Pokemon to promote, so he doesn't have to put his Pumpkaboo with energy at risk. So he will Ultra Ball for another Pumpkaboo, and if he has Shaman EX and double colorless energy, we'll see Sky Return for the knockout. Again, using that conservative strategy to return that double colorless to your hand.
Right, as opposed to David in that last game putting out a double colorless and kind of stranding it.
Yeah.
He's instead going to be able to keep returning it to his hand and protecting it.
Yeah, so there we do see Shaman EX using setup. He does have double colorless in his hand. He'll go ahead and put that down. Again, he can just knock out Joltik with that 30 damage attack, but we'll see what else he can do here.
Yeah, he does have that Floatstone Pokemon, so he can... Oh, he's going to play a big Juniper, discarding a bunch of good cards again.
Oh, yeah, he actually had an N in his hand and opted not to play it. Maybe seeing David had like 4 cards in his hand, maybe didn't want to give him an extra one, thinking, you know what, the way you win this matchup is by just having resources, so better to not give my opponent a 5-card N, force him to draw the cards he needs.
Now, right here, I have a Dimension Valley in my hand, right? I have 1 Dimension Valley in my hand. I am using Sky Return. I see David has got a Pumpkaboo with a Bengal on it, meaning that if David wants to attack, David needs to put a Dimension Valley into play. So I already know that since that or David hits the escape rope play. So like in order for David to attack, David needs to put D-Valley into play. So now I'm starting to discard my own D-Valleys, even though there's not one in play yet, because I suspect that David will need to put one into play first.
Off of his own supporters.
Also ditching another Dimension Valley there. 2 Dimension Valleys, so they're pretty much both agreeing not to play Dimension Valley this game, it looks like.
Gentlemen's agreement. No stadium cards this game. But yeah, I think the reason he's doing that is he actually has discarded his other 2 grass energy. So even though there's that one on the Pumpkaboo, he doesn't have a second grass to put down, so he's going to have to commit double colorless no matter what to use the attack.
So Andrew comes in, gets the knockout, and we go back over to David's turn, plays a double colorless, and then just plays a big Sycamore.
Yep, so he's going to get 7 fresh cards. Again, also not opting to play N. Both these players being a little more aggressive in this game.
So kind of a bad situation there. The only Pokemon in his hand is Shaman, which he probably does not want to play at this point.
It looks like he's got a Pumpkaboo.
Oh, there is Pumpkaboo back there.
It is much safer. He can put that down just to have a basic for next turn. Yeah, it looks like both these players pretty much doing the same thing, but now David, I mean, he's got the advantage for now, but, oh, that's right, he doesn't have Dimension Valley, so he can't even attack yet.
Right, so suddenly the gentleman's agreement is hurting him pretty hardcore there.
Look at my face. 4 minutes left on the clock. Look at my face as I sit here waiting for David to see if he's got the D-Valley.
Not want to play at this point.
It looks like he's got a Pumpkaboo.
Oh, there is Pumpkaboo back there.
It is much safer. He can put that down just to have a basic for next turn. Yeah, it looks like both these players pretty much doing the same thing, but now David, I mean, he's got the advantage.
Yeah, bro, I'm
now,
like, you got it, bro?
Oh, that's right, he doesn't have Dimension
You
Valley,
got it, bro?
He can't even attack yet.
Right, so
what you got?
The gentleman's agreement is hurting him pretty hardcore there. Both players ditching their Joltics, a lot of their Joltics.
At this point, it's very evident that he does not have the D-Valley in his hand, or else he would have slapped it down, right?
Joltics as well, so suddenly the Pokemon that can attack are going way down in number.
Yeah, maybe they're getting a little bit too fancy in this situation. We do see Acrobike and deciding between Ultra Ball and Escape Rope. Probably was hoping to see Dimension Valley. Discards the Escape Rope. Sure, he could force that Pumpkaboo active, but then, well, I don't know, maybe that might have been okay.
Oh, goes and gets the last Pumpkaboo. Looks like he might have to be committing to playing his Shaman at this point.
Oh yeah, he has to. I mean, you can't miss a knockout here, I don't think. First of all, because time was running out.
Right.
Second of all, because you give Andrew the opportunity to take the lead in the game. So here we go. Do we see a Dimension Valley off of these 5 cards? And no. However, we do see another Shaman EX, so we could see another setup and maybe finally a Dimension Valley.
Right. Again, he compressed away at least one of
Feels
his
bad,
own, so
man.
he kind of reduced his chances of being able to do that here.
Right.
But he's going to get that. Looks like he's putting the other battle compressor in. He's really still hasn't figured out exactly what he wants to do here.
Yep, he's dumping 3 item cards that he doesn't really want to see anymore. And will he find the Dimension Valley? The clock is ticking at this point. Can he find it and get the knockout, or will Andrew take the advantage in this game?
Yeah. So again, this is going to be a big draw off of the Shaman. His deck is so small, and it's only his like 2nd or 3rd turn, I think, at this point.
No, David is not slow playing. He is a great sport. We had a really great match. He's just thinking. This is, no. He's just thinking. There is so much on the line here. This is a make and break into day 2 of the World Championships. Yeah.
Yeah, now something else that's interesting is I think Andrew may have discarded all of his Dimension Valley, and the only switching card he plays is Floatstone, which is already attached to his Pump
David.
So even if David were to miss his knockout here, I don't think Andrew can even capitalize on it. He has no way to attack. He has no way to switch. He might just be in a spot where this is a free turn for David.
Yeah, he can't attack, but he can't get attacked back, and there's no way for, I mean, unless there's like does he play escape rope?
Nope, just a Floatstone. Looks
Yep.
like.
So he's not going to be able to.
Oh,
There
he
it
does
is!
have the Dimension Valley. He got one last one, and there's the double colorless energy. So this game's going to swing back around in Andrew's favor.
The secret valley was finally found.
So you see Trainer's Mail, going to grab that Muscle Band, because might as well take a card, thins it out of your deck. He'll probably just attach it to the active Pumpkaboo.
Right.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, we have about a minute and a half left. These players still at 5 prizes apiece. Can they manage to take this whole game down? It seems pretty unlikely at this point. That it's really slowed down.
Yeah, although now that they're down to so few cards left in their decks, there's way fewer decisions to be made, so they might be able to power through a bit quicker. But, I mean, neither player really wants to slow down here.
Yeah.
Minute
And there we do
15
see the
left.
Night March knocking out David's Pumpkaboo. Going to promote a new one, and now Dimension Valley is in play, so he can just attack right away. Going to attach that double colorless to his own Pumpkaboo and retreat. And, yeah, we see the decisions picking up right away. Night March.
Yeah, so getting rid of, so again, that gets rid
Revive.
of the double colorless on Andrew's side of the board, although we see 2 more in his hand.
Boom.
So he's in pretty good shape.
Here we go. Another double colorless energy. Night March. These turns are really picking up the pace. Will they beat the clock?
Yeah, and I assume that, what we're looking at here is just going to be as fast as they can. Who's going to be the first person to miss an attack at this point is probably going to be the one to lose.
Yeah. Looks like David is going to make a decision here, though. If he has an N, he might play it. So, yeah, he has Versus Seeker in hand. He could go ahead and play an N and try to disrupt Andrew.
Right. So, yeah, there goes
So he has to end me to
Tries
3.
to slow him down. See if he can keep Andrew from finding that double colorless energy. He needs to attack next turn.
Now, for those of you that don't know, at the end of time, it goes to something called +3, right? So it's 50 minutes +3. That's how much time you have in a best of 3. So when time is called, the player whose turn it is turn 0, and then the next player's turn 1, the next player's turn 2, and the next player's turn 3. So there are essentially 4 turns that get to happen after time gets called. Yes. So with 3 prizes remaining, I have enough time to be able to finish the game since there are EX Pokemon in play. I have 2 turns. It is possible, yes.
We'll knock out his Pumpkaboo that has energy this turn.
This is coming down to the wire. Oh, man, I don't know if either player can pick up the win here. I mean, Andrew is going down to 3 cards, so he might not draw another basic.
And you could see by my gesturing the hand there, time was just called. Because I'm going, your turn 0, 1, 2, 3, right? Time was just called. My hand gesture, that's how you can tell. I'm reciting whose turns are whose.
He could run out of Pokemon. That's an option that could happen. I mean, he will have 2 turns, so he could knock out a non-EX and then knock out one of those Shaman to win the game. So this is not over. I believe time has been called, though, so we are in the extra 3 turns.
So there goes the bike.
So Acro Bike, he's going to pick up that Professor Sycamore. And looks like, I mean, he's definitely going to use Night March.
David can win. David just end me to 3. Like, if I don't, David could bench me. Yeah. You know, I got end to 3. It could be 3 bad cards, I guess, right? Is it possible? Like, maybe. Yeah.
We know that much, but will he do anything else before then? He does have another Joltik he can play down. There's probably no repercussions to putting that down. But yeah, he's just going to go ahead and use Night March, and now it's on Andrew. Can he find the cards he needs to win? Can he find another basic, first of all?
Looks like he's got a double colorless in his hand. He's got
2 turns to win the
Mew
game.
and a Shaman in his hand, so he's actually got a pretty beefy hand there.
Yeah, that's really strong. I mean, if he can go ahead and... I mean, he'll probably have to use Mew EX this turn, just so he can save that Pumpkaboo. I'm not sure how many Night March Pokemon he actually has left. Yeah, this is going to be really rough. I mean...
Also, if we're taking a look at resources, right? I'm pretty sure, is this David's 4th double colorless? I think that this is David's 4th double colorless, right? I think that this is David's 4th, because there was the one on the Pumpkaboo that I knocked out, and then there were 1, 2, 3. Yes. So this is David's 4th double colorless, to give you guys an idea, right? So David has no more DCE left in deck. This is it. This is David's last DCE that he has available. I was able to Sky return one. I got one in the deck still, okay? And David also, this is David's only float stone, and David's escape rope is already in the discard pile. This was before special charge, yes. So there's no way to recover DCE. So this is David's last double colorless.
Basically, to win the game before time's up, he's going to need to knock out an EX. So at some point, he will need to draw Lysander.
Right. But if he uses Mew or Shaman, then he puts himself in that same risk of having a. Although David only has 1 turn left at this point, he cannot win on prizes.
Yeah, this is really just Andrew's game to lose at this point. David, I don't think he can win. Sometimes players make agreements and say, you know what, if I'm ahead on prizes.
That's the 4th DCE, just so I was scanning through.
Whoever's ahead on prizes, just to make sure we have a winner.
I'm aware of time because we're in +3 turns. Time has already been called, and I have 2 turns left to play. This turn, which is why I have slowed down my pace. Now I'm really taking everything into consideration. Yeah, Pandage, I do remember that.
Decide it that way.
Right, since both players drawing means neither of them get in.
Yeah.
I actually played Night March with E-Power at that tournament as well. Finished in the top 64. Yeah. That Jimmy won that one. But I lost my winning into day 2, I think. Yeah, finished in the top 64 or 128 or something. But yes.
They may have an agreement along those lines.
Yeah, just one player will honorably concede just to make sure someone moves on. So we may see that happen, but yet, based on what I'm seeing here, there's no way David can actually win. He only has 1 turn. And he actually extends his hand. And Andrew Mahone will take the series, and he will move on to day number 2 at the World Championships, making the comeback. You know, he conceded that first game right away. Turns out to be a brilliant move.
Right. Gave him almost precisely the amount of time he needed. Couldn't have gone any closer to the wire there for him.
Basically, so I showed David that I had a way to remove his last DCE from play. David was not going to be able to attack the following turn. So David, wanting to make sure that one of us makes it to day 2 of the World Championships, decided to extend the hand as soon as I showed him that I had knockout on his Pumpkaboo with the DCE, because if I didn't have return knockout, then David could have been ahead on prizes, and then in which case I would have scooped to David. So that is my winning into day 2 of the 2015 World Championships, and That was an absolutely insane finale. It gives me chills just watching that back. I was able to finish 9th place overall at the 2015 World Championships. After qualifying for the second day, I went 5-1-1 and bubbled out of top 8 on opponents' resistance. But it was an incredible experience all around, and crazy to think that the 2015 World Championships was 6 years ago at this point. I am incredibly excited for organized play to return and hopefully to make my way to another World Championships in 2022. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked the video, make sure to subscribe to the channel and check me out on Twitch, twitch.tv/TrickyJim, where I stream live Pokemon trading card game content like this every single weekday. Y'all have a busted day. Peace.